everyone? We're back, episode 3. We don't have any cool guests this week, just these two knuckleheads. We're gonna go over some of the golf that was played this week, and just Brad's got some crazy stuff for us to talk about. Some hot takes, some cold takes. What you drinking? What you thinking? And here we go.
Yeah, let's jump in. I mean, I guess where do we start? We got LIV or we got PGA Tour? Where do you want to start?
LIV.
Okay. Hot take, LIV golf. Yeah, so we just wrapped up week 6, or I guess event 6 on the LIV golf tour in Bangkok, Thailand, where Eugenio Chacarra, a little youngster straight out of college there at Oklahoma State, got his first dub. Something maybe to be said about leaving college a year early.
Yeah,
no payday.
No degrees. Probably going to come back to haunt that kid.
Yeah. So interesting move. Some would probably say when he first did it. I would say hindsight being 2020, I would have done the same at that point. I mean, when you come out in 5th event as a pro and you're $4 million richer, hard to be mad. What do you think, boys?
It's pretty sick. I mean,
yeah.
Do you think it has to do with the fact that he's playing against a field of guys that play, once every 4 weeks now? I mean, that's what I saw. I saw that leaderboard. I see Cam Smith at the bottom. I'm like, the dude probably just doesn't care anymore. He's hanging with family, doing all kinds of stuff, but the level of competition can't be what it was, right?
Yeah, I see that too. Cam Smith at the bottom means that he cashed his $4 million last time, bought some fast car, and it's been a few days on the ocean fishing.
Yeah,
right. He hasn't touched the golf clubs. I mean, seriously, probably since the last tournament. And can you blame the guy?
No,
I don't know. It's just it's a different mentality. I mean, I sit here thinking that winning a PGA Tour event or a major is the pinnacle, but these guys may say, no, winning $4 million against 47 other guys, that's the pinnacle. Like, that's what makes the most sense. And I get that too. I mean, I understand it.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be kind of the argument right now is kind of like you have this angle of I play golf for the money, or I play golf for kind of the legacy and the history. That's kind of the fork in the road that you kind of hear the Rorys of the PGA Tour talking about the legacy and kind of the history of the game and protecting the integrity of the game, which rightfully so. I think that that's a very valuable point. And then you have, the youngsters coming out going, look, like, it's a long road to get to the PGA Tour for some of these guys, and why not take some quick money? It's because a lot of these guys, it's about how can you set your family up for success, for the rest of your life, or for your kids. There's a fine line. I mean, someone like Rory, he can say that, yeah, it's for the legacy, but let's be real, how much money did he make off the PGA Tour too as well? So, 6 dozen of one, or 6 of one, half dozen of another, it's nobody's right, nobody's wrong. I think it's, I definitely can see kind of both sides here. And I think that you'll continue to see probably, the top and the bottom in terms of, you'll see some of the older guys trying to get a little bit more money out of the back end of their careers, kind of going to the LIV route. You'll get a lot of the young guys potentially out of college, which is something interesting to watch, because I think that that's something that you'll continue to see the PGA Tour really try to hone in on and try to entice the younger guys to stay, because I think that there's a continued draw for someone like, Eugenio Chacarra, who won this week. He skips his senior season, 5 events in. He's probably made $4+ million now after winning. I mean, I think that that's got to, perk some ears of some of the guys out there in the college ranks going, hey, I'm just as good as this guy. I competed with him, or I was better than him all last year in college. Who's to say that I can't go out there and, catch a heater one week, and next thing you know, I got $4 million in my pocket. I mean,
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, and we're not in that boat. I mean, we'll never know.
Gosh,
Unfortunately, we'll
true.
never truly be able to weigh the two. Like, you got guys like Rory and JT that may say, I mean, the legacy on the PGA Tour is what we play for, even though there's the potential of 4 million or, DJ's winnings, which we'll get into later, sitting right there in front of them. I mean, to be able to say, I'm going to play for just the PGA Tour and what it stands for and the legacy that's been left behind by so many great players, that takes a lot. I mean, could you imagine sitting there and having the potential to go out and beat a very limited field 8 times a year and win, $4 million? I mean, that's got to be hard to turn down. It's easy for me to say, oh, I would never do that because I'm not in that situation, but being in that would be that's tough.
I think he's gonna have his name etched into this Bangkok trophy, Live Golf by Greg Norman. How cool is that? I'd much rather have a trophy, a PGA Tour trophy, with Tiger Woods next to my name on it. I don't care about money. I mean,
Yeah.
most of these guys, for this kid, right? He's young. He made his 4 million. I think he made 4.75 or something like this, like that this week, which is like great, right? He could probably never work a day in his life. I was kidding about the degree, obviously, and be fine, right? He could shoot 80 every round for the rest of his life, and he'll probably be fine, unless he goes and blows it on some crazy fast car that he doesn't need, which is probably what I would do. So it's probably a good thing that I don't have that option, because I would just buy things that we don't really need. But I'm shocked that you guys are talking about this. I got paid a ton to come on this podcast. It was basically money just to make an appearance or two. So
yeah,
I did take it, but whatever.
Yeah, you're here for the legacy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care about money. Clearly, here's my clubs. What are those?
Yeah.
I need money. Help, please.
I mean, the biggest thing that bothers me about LIV is that, and it's not necessarily their fault, right? Like, those guys made that choice, and that's totally fine. I don't judge them for it. I don't care. I think my biggest thing is that, because they're fighting with the PGA Tour, it's not like, well, one, like Bangkok, you can't really stay up and watch it if you have family, kids, whatever that is, and then you're not going to see the best players in the majors, and that's my favorite weeks of the year as far as golf, players, and then major championships. I don't even really, I didn't get into the President's Cup. I don't typically ever get into the President's Cup. I just don't. Ryder Cup's a little different, but there's 4 weeks every year that I really enjoy watching golf, and it's the majors. And now you're not going to have some of the best players, and they did that because, at this point, they can't say they're growing the game. They did it for money, right? And I get some of them, on the back end of their careers, taking the money and being okay with that, because they don't really feel like they have a chance to win. Deep down, they have to know that, like, hey, my chances are very slim to go out and win the Masters, or whatever it might be, one of the majors. They just don't have a chance. And so that's my biggest complaint, is that you're going to miss some of the best players in the world. This kid, he won a big event, right? There's still good players in the field. And what does he get out of it? He got the cash, but he gets no exemptions. He doesn't get anything. So hopefully something happens to where they do get into the majors and we get to see them compete, because that's what golf is, and that's what's made it so fun and so popular.
Yeah. And the big thing he's missing out on is probably world golf ranking points too. Talking about all the potential that he doesn't get to see.
And that kind of perfect segue into kind of the next point about those world ranking points. I know that's been really kind of the biggest kind of thorn in their side lately, because to your point, Connor, us as fans, we want to see those guys, the Cam Smiths, the Dustin Johnsons, play in the majors. And yes, they have a great world ranking now, but we all know what happens when you don't play in events that are ranked, whether it's because you're hurt or whatever it may be. You slowly start falling off, and then there could be just a meteoric decline because of the fact that tournaments are falling off and tournaments are falling off, and they're not being replaced with other tournaments that are being ranked. So as a result, your world ranking just slides way down. We've seen it happen over the last, 5, 6, 7, 8 years with Tiger Woods, with how much he's been hurt. And, you get the massive spike and then you get the huge decline. And, it's one of those things where it's just a matter of time to start seeing some of those guys start falling quickly from the rankings. I think it'll be interesting to see, one, how long it's going to take for someone like a Cam Smith or a DJ to fall outside the top 50 if it gets to that point. And two, how long if it gets to the point where they can get world ranking points. I think that obviously that's a hot button item. I know that LIV Golf came out over the last week or two saying that they are essentially associating themselves with the MENA tour, trying to attach themselves to a tour that currently gets world ranking points, probably trying to find some sort of loophole or some way to get their foot in the door and essentially say like, oh, well, we're associating ourselves with that tour. And it's funny because then when you look at the way that they put the schedule on that tour, you see tournaments with purses that pay out of $75,000, and then you see purses with payouts of $20 million. So it's like, yeah, I don't think that you can really hide behind that, which is interesting. But I think that they're going to continue to try to find ways to try to meet the criteria that has been put forth by the World Golf Ranking Committee, and essentially saying like, you have to meet these criteria if you're going to ever get to the point where we're going to give you the option to have that world ranking ability in your tournaments. And I saw something actually this evening that popped up saying that they're going to try to introduce some sort of cut in this next event on the LIV Tour this week, to try to see if they can start meeting some requirements. Whether that cut is very big, I think that I had seen something circulating around saying that they were going to cut from the top 48 to the top 45. Only cut 3 people, but a cut's a cut, I'm sure, in their mind. But that's comical to think that, hey, we're going to check a box and cut 3 guys, and sorry about you boys, but I don't know if those guys are still getting paid if they get cut. And I saw something interesting too about kind of on the PGA Tour on the other side of the coin. It's like, PGA Tour events are really 36 holes of qualifying to make the paid portion of the 36-hole event. And so, there's some arguments to be had back and forth. I mean, I think I would love to see the world ranking, points be given, but I think that there's got to be a little bit of a give and take. I think they have to really look at how they can adjust formats. I know that MENA tour, they do 54 hole events, and have gotten world ranking points. Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see kind of how this continues to develop. And it may not, obviously there's only 2 events left, so I would be shocked if anything happens over the next 2 events, but I definitely could see a lot more developments happening between now and when the next season starts on the LIV Tour, knowing that I believe it's a full 14 tournament season schedule. So I would love to see that happen. Would love to get y'all's thoughts on kind of the world ranking and where all of that is headed.
Yeah.
I think limited field's hard. I mean,
Yeah.
regardless.
I think, yeah, my favorite thing about it is that Bryson said that we've met all of the criteria. And I think that is so funny just because they literally have met almost none of it. And it's just, I know what Bryson is probably saying is like our field is strong enough that it should be considered as world ranking points, which is probably true. But the way he said it was just funny to me. But yeah, I think here's what I think would be cool to see is the PGA Tour kind of step back, not take such a defensive stance, and instead maybe partner with Liv and say, hey, um, honestly, what I would love to see, and this is this ultra hot take coming from you, coming from me, but eliminate the WGC events. Okay, make Liv the WGC, right? And you can still call it Liv. It doesn't matter. It's just a name, right? Make those purses massive and make it if you want it to be 48 players, make it the best 48 in the world. Because now that's what WGC does typically, right? But in WGC, the purse is a little bigger than a normal PGA Tour event. But if you do Live and make them these massive ones, 4 million to the winner, all those things, I think it's a lot more attractive. I think people will want to win them a lot more. It'll mean a lot more to get in that top 48 in the world. And then the PGA Tour can take it as like, hey, we're gonna let Liv run these. We're gonna have a PGA Tour event the same week and give these young guys a chance to come out there and prove themselves. They're still going to have enough guys out there that they can still have a full field and they can still have a normal PGA Tour purse on the same week. But then, then it solves the issues of, hey, we've got a guy, we've got these best players in the world on the LIV Tour, but they can also still play majors. You're just going to have some way to get the PGA Tour to partner with them, and it may not happen.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest part. I mean, in theory, that works, right? I mean, but I think you're dealing with a body that is, again, been around for a long time, has a ridiculous legacy, and you're going to ask them to partner with this golf organization that they've fought over the last year so tooth and nail against. I mean, that's like taking the legacy and being like, this is what we fight for, what we stand for, and then saying, "Ah, just kidding. We were kidding. We're going to do this to make more money." I think that's hard. The limited field is fine. I think the field is strong enough, but you look at like how top heavy that field is. I mean, PGA Tour events, other than like the Barracuda and some of those, like they're all pretty well balanced. You got top 10 guys, you got a bunch of top 50 guys, you got top 100, and then some guys that have a chance to prove themselves. But LIV, it's like you got a bunch of these guys who used to be top 25 in the world versus guys that were no names, coming out of college, whatever. So it's hard to rectify world golf rankings and how that works, especially with fewer events. It's like you got 8 events to prove yourself, and you're playing against some of the best players in the world, or used to be at least, but then also some guys that we've never even heard of. It just makes it hard. It's got to be a fair scale, and I think just saying, hey, each event gets the same amount of points that the PGA Tour events get I think that's tough.
And you about rolled right into my thoughts. Because let's just throw out a hypothetical. Let's say that they finally get this all figured out. They get kind of on the same page to some extent, in terms of like, hey, we're gonna let you have world ranking points. You start looking at the list of tournaments who get world ranking points and kind of how those points break down in terms of total points. And I'm looking at the list here, and the minimum points, obviously all of the big flagship events on each tour get more points than others. but then you start looking at kind of some of these other ones, and even the fact that they're attaching themselves to like the MENA tour, that is probably one of the fewest minimum points out of all of the bodies that are being given world ranking points currently. So
At
I
that
don't
point, is
think,
it even worth it?
and that's
I
what,
mean,
and
there's
that kind of is like, is that it almost is hurting you just as, rather than just like, okay, let me just cash up as much money as possible and I'll just waltz my way right out of not caring of playing 4 events a year. And just kind of say like, okay, I'm doing this all for 4 events a year in reality, and now that's played, this card in my hand, and so I'm not even going to think about it anymore, and I'm just going to solely focus on the money. But yeah, I mean, because that will be the real kicker, is if they do get these world ranking availability, where does it fall on the spectrum? Because the spectrum is so wide that I don't know. In their mind, I'm sure they want to be equal to the PGA Tour, but I don't know if there's an argument to be had to say that, given the fact that the field sizes are larger, the cut sizes are obviously larger, I would say the average rank across the board, it's hard to compare apples to apples because of the number of players. So you can't say like, yes, LIV has stronger fields, but you're also looking at that from a field of 46. Whereas if you took, hand selected 46 guys for every PGA Tour event, I'm pretty sure that those fields would probably be stronger on average over a span of time, because there's not enough guys on the LIV Tour that they're just going to be kind of hitting this stagnant area that they're never going to consistently filter in. I don't see a whole lot of shift of guys going, in the top 20 or top 30 on the PGA Tour, in the world golf rankings, jumping now over to LIV. Like, I think that the big shift has kind of happened to some extent. Then you may get a couple trickle here and there. But I think too, with kind of the shift with the PGA Tour and how they've kind of changed a little bit of the mentality and seeing the money, and I think that that's probably pulled a couple guys back that were probably on the fence, that could have turned the tide. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see when this all shakes out, because it's going to shake out. I think it's a matter of time. It'll shake out. I see them getting world ranking points. I just wonder what those are, and if it's ever going to be something where they're going to be satisfied. I think that's the other question, because I think you have one question of if they will, and the other question of when they will, what does it look like, and will they be satisfied? And I think it's just no good answer right now because it's too up in the air, but I don't think they'll ever be satisfied unless they are literally an equal to what those guys on the PGA Tour are getting. And I don't think it's ever going to happen. I don't see it.
It's opposite to what they wanted in the first place.
Yeah.
Like, what do official world golf ranking points get them now? I mean, they left for LIV. Some of them have been straight up honest and saying just because of the money. Like, if you're there making money, why do you care what rank you are in the world? I mean, you miss out on majors, I guess, but you may miss out on those anyway until they let you in. But it seems like they're saying, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to move to the LIV Tour because there's potential for money, these big contracts, guaranteed money. But now they're like, well, we want to be a part of the world golf rankings for what? I mean, to be recognized as the best, when you kind of cashed in there when you left. You said, I don't care about this anymore. And now they want to come back and say, we do care. That's what's hard for me to stomach too with it, is that it's like their motives are shifting and they want what they can't have, basically.
Yeah. Which, I mean, they knew that was the opportunity cost of leaving the PGA Tour. You leave the PGA Tour, you knew that, at least at the time being, that there were no world ranking points being given to those events. depending on, and it was a up in the air situation, and that was a risk that you were willing to take.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the PGA Tour essentially said, sorry, no take backsies. You're not coming back.
Yeah.
We're not letting
Yeah.
you come back. You made your bed, now you got to sleep in it type of situation. And now here we are at a crossroads of, I'm sure some of these guys would love to play. You got, and I think this would be an interesting take to see where this goes too, because you got someone like a Brooks Koepka who's won 4 majors, who is a shoe-in to the World Golf Hall of Fame. What happens now? I mean, does that ever happen for him now that he essentially is, gone over to LIV and pledged his allegiance to the LIV Tour? Now do they essentially shun him from ever getting into the World Golf Hall of Fame? Obviously, that's a long time away, knowing the age restriction. But I think that will be something, maybe it will work itself out over the next 15, 20 years. But that just popped in my head going, well, wait a second. We got a guy over here that's, won 4 majors. We got another guy over here that's won, a couple majors, and Dustin Johnson. So you start looking at a couple of these guys that probably would be shoe-ins for World Golf Hall of Fame. And now that kind of comes into the equation too. So I'm sure that these were things that they probably thought about when they left, but let's be real. If you're Dustin Johnson now and you're sitting on $30 million after playing 6 events this year, I don't think I really care about being in the World Golf Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Granted, I would enjoy having something there to show my kids, to have a legacy. There's an allure to the money. Don't get me wrong. That's great. The money doesn't come with you when you die. So, but the legacy never goes away. And I think that there's something to be said about that. Those guys on the PGA Tour that are winning those events and winning that many times and are that successful, they're making more than enough money to be okay. So the top end, that's where I think it's always kind of been a little interesting to me. I get that they were probably not satisfied with the product that was the PGA Tour was putting out, and knowing that they were essentially, a tour run by the players for the players, but they probably felt like they weren't running the tour the way they wanted it. And so, somebody made a better one and they left. But if it's me, like, now you have, yes, your name's always going to be on a US Open trophy. And yes, your name's always going to be on those trophies, but it's just not the same. Like to me, it's not.
Yeah.
But so yeah, let's dive a little deeper too on that DJ note that we were chatting about on the $30 million payday. So, and I say $30 million as a caveat too, that's the season that he's had so far on the LIV Tour. So 6 events in, now has accumulated $30 million because he has won the season-long race. When I say the season-long race, the 8-event season-long race, because he's accumulated so many points in the first 6 events that nobody can catch him, which is comical, but I guess hard to say when you're playing that good of golf that, hey, why not? But yeah, the guy goes out, gets 5 top 10s, I believe, with a win included, and now he's sitting on a bunch of stacks of cash. And I think it was $18 million bonus he won because of that.
Let's take it back from DJ.
You good, Connor?
Yeah, it cut out right when you said let's dive a little deeper.
Perfect.
Cool.
Well, just jump back in. So yeah, I figured let's dive a little deeper on the topic of DJ and the LIV Tour. So obviously word came out this week after the event ended that he won LIV's individual season long money list, which is comical. Obviously it's only 8 events, and 6 events in locks it up. Granted, you got to play well if you're going to close it out in 6 events, and I think he's done that. I believe it's 5 top 10s, including a win. And I believe he had to finish probably in the top 20 this last event in order for him to close it out, because I believe that Brandon Grace was behind him in the list, and WD. So he was kind of out in the open, had a good final round and locked it up. And so $18 million richer in a span of 6 events, on top of, I believe it's, what is that? Almost $12.8 million in on-course earnings with the team winnings, which I believe they've won 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 6, something like that. But I know they won. I mean, it's ridiculous.
And real quick, I mean, the biggest win for DJ is beating Brendan Grace, right? I mean, can we all agree? That's the biggest win. Who cares about the money as long as you beat him?
Yeah, he
we
had someone nipping at his heels there.
Yeah, impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to hear y'all's thought. I mean, 6 events, $18 million. I mean, that's pretty. I mean, it's impressive, but that's pretty ridiculous.
I mean, my biggest concern / question is, why is it 18 million? Why can't it be a normal number like a 20? Why did we just stop at 18?
Because I think it was like a $40 million bonus pot, and they just like, oh, hey, we're just gonna divvy it up, and hey, we're not gonna round it to 20. We're just gonna go, hey, we're gonna go 18. I think 18's the hot number. And then we're just gonna like 18. I think it's like 18 and then 8.
I got it.
Or something like that.
It's $1 million for every hole on a normal regulation golf course. That's it.
I didn't think of that one.
Done.
That's impressive.
Gosh.
Well, I mean, clearly DJ doesn't care about the legacy side, the PGA Tour side. He just wants his kids, when they turn 16, to have a Ferrari. It's perfectly fine.
You're on a fast car kick tonight, man. You got big dreams.
Well, I'm a big F1 guy.
Yeah, you've been watching way too much Lewis Hamilton.
DJ won this week, but so did Max Verstappen. And Max didn't know that he won, which is awesome to me. That it was a coin flip at the end, because the race was all kind of crazy. So, DJ probably didn't know that he won either, because it's DJ.
Yeah. Speaking of, Verstappen could have locked up Drivers' Championship Sunday, but he didn't. DJ did. Again, like, what's the big picture? Obviously, with LIV, you're making $4 million if you win. That's fantastic. But if there's like really, I don't feel as much pressure there for those guys. Like Max locking up Drivers' Championship, you get guys like Charles Leclerc that are like, I don't even care anymore. Like, I'm going to go out there and race, whatever, but I've already lost. LIV, I think luckily for them, hasn't reached that point where the season-long champion, which I didn't even know was a thing, to be honest, until this week. Like, once that's more a bigger deal, maybe people will lose interest in that too and be like, well, I don't care about winning as much. But it's hard to say that when $4 million is sitting right there in front of you.
Well, it'll be interesting too with the full season next year. One, does the pot size change, or is it going to stay kind of, hey, winner gets 18? I think it goes 18, then 8. I think that's how I saw 18 and then 8 and then 4 or something like that. I mean, it was something ridiculous. Yeah, 18 million, 8 million, and 4 million. I mean, DJ has just absolutely lapped the field in 6 events. What happens when there's 14? I mean, somebody catches a heater in the first, half of the season, they just kind of coast along, make their guaranteed money. Next thing you know, hey, by 3-4 events away, they just pocket 18 million and nothing else matters. Like, I think that's the only thing I enjoy about the PGA Tour playoffs is like there is that kind of pot of gold sitting at the end. But I'm still kind of on the fence with the format. I still think that they still need to figure out the tour championship format, because I still don't think they've settled on what's kind of the right way or what's fair or not fair. I think there's arguments to all sides, but at least at that point, like in reality, everyone has a chance in the last event to win the FedEx Cup. Whereas like something like this is like, hey, it is what it is. Boom, you win it, you coast in, done. Nobody can beat you. Okay, cool. And then motivation kind of goes out the door. Now it's just purely, a money game. So I don't know. I'm sure we'll see changes. I'm sure that if not, well, hey, more power to you. If you're just going to go out and keep cashing in $18 million checks every year, then ain't nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
But let's segue out of a little bit of the LIV side of the world and jump into the PGA Tour side of the world, because we have a goat sighting this week.
Yeah, 100%.
Fresh off of a great end to the PGA Tour season last year, where he won the regular season finale, got him a PGA Tour card, which then got him into the playoffs. Kind of used that momentum through the playoffs, got him right into the FedEx Cup, where he just lit that place apart. I mean, he was the star of the show for the internationals. Tom Kim, fresh off a victory. Number 2, I mean, boys, is he the next star of the PGA Tour or what?
I mean, look, the guy reminds me of myself. Just so much talent, and just, I mean, no, I'm kidding. He's great. I love watching him. I think it's really awesome that he snagged Scovey. So he's got Ricky's old caddy. I think that's pretty cool. He's got a lot of experience. Obviously, Ricky was great for a long time. Obviously, we know about his struggles, but for Tom Kim to pick him up, I think that's big. To have a guy that's been where he's going. He's going to play a bunch of these courses for the first time, especially in competition. And to have that, I think that's probably helped him quite a bit. His personality is awesome. Love seeing him compete at the President's Cup. Like I said earlier, I don't follow the President's Cups. Like, I don't watch every second, but I did get to watch a good amount. And watching him he truly is a joy to watch. And just like a lot of the other young guys, we have, a lot of years ahead of us of watching him. And I love the outlook he has on it. I saw a quote from him today that said, "I'm 20 years old and I'm on the PGA Tour. It's like a 5-year-old going to Disney World every day of his life." Yeah, I just think he's a lot of fun. I think, he said he's never going to get sick of golf like Sung Jae, which is kind of cool to me. They're going to play a lot. And for the longest time, I don't know if this is still true, Sung Jae never even had a house. He just traveled and played on the PGA Tour. So I think that's awesome. I hope we get to see him most weeks of the year, and I hope he wins a lot. He's obviously very skilled. The other thing that I kind of like about him is he's not a bomber. The game has gone to so many just bomb and gouge guys that just bomb it and flip wedge everywhere. And I was listening to a podcast with Trevor Immelman, and they said Quail Hollow was a bomber's paradise. Like, the rough was mowed down. It's played really long, kind of big boy golf course, and he played awesome, which is great because they said he was by far the shortest guy on their team, which is nuts.
Yeah. He's got an innocence, it's like that, just fresh on the scene, that is so refreshing, especially with all the LIV stuff that we talked about earlier and guys going out there grabbing for money. he just loves it. He's out there just because he loves the game, and he's got that crazy perspective where he just looks around and says, "Man, I get to do this for a job." I mean, how cool! And again, seeing the fire, the passion, and the excitement he brought to the international team in the President's Cup. I mean, that's a huge reason why I watched it. And Connor, I watched it as much for that as you watched it to watch JT lose. But like, he's just great. He's great. He's great for golf, great for the game. He's not a blue blood. He's just kind of came out of nowhere and is loving it. And I think he's going to inspire a lot of kids to see that, maybe a mind shift, especially, I was looking at a post today about guys that have struggled, Willie Wilcox and Matt Wolf, Akshay Bhatia, all talking about mental health. I mean, so much pressure on themselves to be good and to win. And Tom Kim's coming out and just having a blast, looking around, enjoying where he is. And hopefully that just rubs off on a bunch of kids in the next generation of golf. To get out of we got to succeed and be perfect all the time and just enjoy it, man. What a blessing it is to play golf and pay the bills because of that,
Yeah. It'll be interesting because I think that, I think he'll see so much more success. As we all know, when you come into a round of golf, or you're just in a good frame of mind and you're just out there having fun, like it's usually when you play your best and you enjoy it. Like you're not out there pressing, you're not out there, trying to do too much. Like he's just out there just free swinging the golf club. And I think that he's going to see a lot of success. And I think that his lows aren't going to be near as low. And even when because it's inevitable. I mean, we see it across the board. You see it a good players like Jordan Spieth and some of those other guys who have had really high highs and some pretty low lows. And I don't see his roller coaster being near as up and down as some of that. And I think a lot of that is attributed to his outlook on the game, the way that he's just literally out there just gunslinging it, see ball, hit ball type of thing. Like, hey, I'm just going to hit it. I'm gonna have a good time. Just going to go down, chase it. I love this game. Like there's not enough of those guys. I feel like in the game or on the tour. I think that there's, you get them few and far between, but it's nice and refreshing to see when you get that. And I think that the attention that he's gotten and being the same person through all of it is even better. Some could see kind of the fact that like, oh, hey, they're getting, absolutely boat raced at the President's Cup and he's still completely intense and having a good time. Like, then you start to watch, clips back of him in other tour events or even, this most recent one, like he's just smiling from ear to ear all the time. And he's in it and he wants to win, whether his team's winning or not, he wants to win and he's just enjoying it. And so I think it's been a breath of fresh air. Yeah, I mean, 15th in the world, 2 wins. I mean, the sky's the limit for the guy. I mean, he gets to your point, Connor, veteran on the bag now, gets to make whatever schedule he wants. We get to see him at all the big tournaments, which is what I'm kind of excited to see next year. You get to see him at the Masters. I think he is going to be a kid in a candy store at that place, which is always fun to watch, kind of those first timers. But I think that he also has a caddy that you may see some success in some big events. I mean, he showed up at the President's Cup, very green to some extent to a lot of that stage. So I think it'll be interesting to follow him over the next couple of years, but even this next year, I mean, he's going to be someone I'm going to favorite, put it on the top of kind of my leaderboard watch list on a week-to-week basis. And, I hope he makes it out to Dallas for the Byron Nelson. I did hear that he is settling into a house, unlike Sanjay did early in his career. He's actually settling in here, Connor, in Dallas. So that'll be cool to have him here local in the Metroplex. And yeah, he'll definitely have some fans here cheering him on. Hopefully here at the Byron Nelson come May.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just needs to watch out not getting that hammer game with me.
Hey, he'll just
stereotypical bomb and gouge right there.
Yeah.
You know what?
Can't
And he'll iron you to death.
Do you know which PGA Tour player he is? You know, he's the guy that he's going to be playing in the Masters, right? And you're going to bump into him in the pro shop because he's loading up on gear. He's that guy, and I love that.
That is
Who
awesome.
was it? Who was it at the Sony or the Tournament of Champions? Took a shuttle ride to the course, and the driver didn't know who it was.
Joel Damon.
Yeah, Joel Damon. I mean, like,
yeah,
he's gonna be
absolute
that
legend.
Legend. I think he thought he was a volunteer.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, stuff like that. It's gonna be
so awesome.
It's gonna be inevitable and awesome.
Yeah,
great.
Well, boys, I guess we're kind of at the point of the segment. We'll just kind of do a little around the horn, kind of what's going on. Obviously, we talked a lot of the serious stuff. You know, what's happening on the PGA Tour, what's happening on the LIV. Maybe we just had about like kind of what's going on with us. What's been up with us lately?
Well, I got 2 bad wrists. Trying to get those better so I can get back on the golf course. So it's just terrible. Too much golf.
Good thing is winter's coming, which means a little downtime from the game, maybe.
Yeah, I'm just old. It's hard getting old, guys. You know, it is.
Did you fall skateboarding again?
Not again. That's it with me, man. Family's great. Kids are having a great time. Just doing everything. My little girl beats me in Uno every day of her life, and
she's so good.
Yeah, she's a smart kid. So that's me.
What about you, boy?
Yeah, just the usual. Family, work, golf. You know, got the TrackMan out the other day. Pumped some drivers. Saw some pretty sweet numbers. Yeah, it just the usual. Getting tuned up for a couple of fun events that we have going on, and nothing crazy, just a couple of little deals, and just want to be able to find the face a little bit. But yeah, the usual. I skipped Brad's kid's birthday party. Sorry.
Lame.
He turned 1 and I skipped so I could go play golf.
Exactly.
At least you got an invite, dude. The
heck. You're too busy enjoying a vacation anyways.
That's true.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, Connor, it'll be interesting to see, you know, to your point, we have a fun event coming up next week with some other guys who play a lot of golf around here. So it'll be interesting. Maybe we can get some behind the scenes stuff of a little event that the Bust to Jack boys are throwing on here locally this next week. So yeah, that should be a fun time. Yeah, and then yeah, like you said, I had a little family event this weekend. My son turned 1. Had a little party for little Walker man, and it was a good time. The wife kind of let me run wild with the golf theme, so that was fun. You know, it's always easy when you can just throw a lot of golf into the picture, and hey, why not have a little fun? You know, sling a couple brews, have some good food. I think Chick-fil-A was kind of the real winner of the party with some fresh nugget trays. You know, never go wrong with that. But no, it was fun. He got his first little golf set. So, I mean, I didn't start playing till I was in 8th grade. That's not happening for either one of my kids. They're getting started early.
Oh yeah.
Let's just hope his backswing is faster than yours.
Hey, I mean, I'm just looking out, you know, Sung JM. I mean, I feel like it's me and him right on the same wavelengths there.
Last time I played with Brad in a tournament, we got put on the clock, and it was because it was taking him too long to take the club away.
Hey, after the way I've been swinging it lately, there might be some swing changes coming to the golf game.
Just flip it around, hit it lefty, bud.
There
Hey,
you go.
can't hurt.
Revamp. Can't hurt.
But- All right, boys.
Dream foursome. Here we go. Question of the day. Dream foursome. Ryan.
Oh gosh.
Not
My
dad either.
That's my dad's number one. Yeah. Ben Hogan. Adam Scott. Sorry, just the guy. Adam Scott's been my favorite for a long time, man. Yeah,
He's my wife's favorite too.
yeah, I bet he is.
Brad.
Good one. Oh, I mean, obviously, you got to go with the GOAT. I mean, T-Dub. I mean, it's hard to not say that. And I think that if it's going to be with him, it would be cool to share it with my dad, just to make sure that he's there. We've had some pretty fun times together with some trips, and so if I'm doing a foursome and I'm going anywhere, it's with Dad, with Tiger Woods. Man, it's a toss-up. Probably between Jack or Arnie. I may lean. Yeah, I mean, well, then it'd be a fivesome instead of a foursome. But hey,
That's a good point.
that'd be a fun game of Wolf.
Brad,
But
Connor?
Well, I'm not going to say my dad because he didn't listen to the first podcast. Yeah, I would. Truthfully, he would definitely be on the list. But I'm going to pick a famous people only one. Arnie for sure. I would take probably Hogan as well. And then, I really want to say Tiger. I really do. But I think he's so serious that you would just get to enjoy his golf, which it would be great. But I think I would probably take Spieth because I think you would really get a lot out of him. Just how he is as a human, the way he talks to people, the way he interacts. I just think that would be great. And then obviously Arnie is very similar. And, he's one of the greatest of all time. And Hogan's a legend, we named my dog after him. So I would definitely have him in there. So
I'm sure he appreciates that. Yeah.
Gosh, the swag that Hogan had is unreal.
how about the swing that Hogan had?
Yeah, it's decent. Second to mine, but it's good.
Yeah, I mean, everything's second to you, right?
I'm a 9 handicap though, so I'd get pops in that game. Thanks for joining us here, episode 3. Next week we got a great guest for us, college coach. We're going to be able to check out the facility that the team uses, hear about his career, his playing career, and now his coaching career. Great guy, great guest. Can't wait for you guys to meet him. And see you next week.